Nau mai, haere mai, and welcome everybody to Family History Month 2026. We usually call this presentation Treasures in the Depths because the NZSG website is a bit like an iceberg. You really only see the tip of it. And if you're not logged in as a member, then you see very little of what is hiding underneath. Although in recent times we have put more content in there that gives you a hint at what you're missing. So I've got two windows open, this window and this window. So this one I'm not logged in on, and the other one I am logged in on. So the difference in the pictures is just a sort of, we had a couple of different pictures, and it's potluck as to which one you get when you come onto the website. So let's start with the front page. It's the same for everybody. The picture, of course, will change depending on which one you get. At the moment, we have ones for the genealogist, and as you've seen, for the shipping collection, there might be another one. Jan, how many have we got going at the moment?
Thank you.
There's a third one.
The front page is the same for everybody, and the biggest thing, it's something you should do whatever genealogical website you're on, and that is scroll down the page. So for starters, we have access to the library and the Kiwi collection, and then we have put in here quick links. So these are links to resources that are used the most often, and so that can just take you in there quickly if you don't want to go through the menus at the top. And if you're not a member, you can then scroll down the page. There's tips on searching, I'll cover that off in a second, and there's sort of more general information on the NZSG and the various resources we have in a very light overview sort of a way. And then down the bottom, at the very bottom, there is various links, including things like our privacy policy, terms and conditions, and how to contact us, although many of these are up in the menus as well. So there's lots of ways to get into from the homepage. Now, one of the things that comes up often, and we've had it in the recent website survey that was conducted, is we want to search in the website, and unfortunately that is not something that our provider can give us. So there is instructions here on how to get Google to search for you. The next way of finding your way around is to go to the sitemap, which is here top of the quick link. So I'll just click on it quickly. And Jan, our webmaster, has been very busy, and basically there is a list of every single page on here. And it gives you an idea, just scrolling down, how much of it you can't access, because everything with a little asterisk next to it is something that you can only access if you're a member. So lots and lots and lots of content. But I'm going to sort of work my way across the menus and sort of compare and contrast what you have. So on this page I'm logged in. You can see that it's got my login up the top there, and on this other page I'm not logged in, and so I could log in or join from the page. And so the About page has a lot of information about us, our people, including our life members and the board, our history, how to contact us, our affiliations, awards that we give, more information about the website and some of the tips and tricks about it, the site map if you want to access it from there, and the FAQs. When you are logged in as a member, there's a little bit more. We have the Society Administration section in here, and that has our strategic documents, financial updates, all this stuff. And if you are on the committee of a branch or interest group, it has access to the big gateway, which is where we keep information available for branches and interest groups. So there's a lot of information in there if you are part of a branch or interest group. Now I'm going to go back to the other one. Membership, of course, if you're not a member, we'd love you to join. And so there is a lot of information in there, regardless of whether you're a member or not a member, about how much you have to pay, what the benefits are, the button to join, information on renewal and donations and bequests. And if you're already a member, there is the page on discounts, which there aren't that many in there at the moment, but we get them from time to time. Member information, which is, more about if you just joined or you're not quite sure, you haven't been to the website before, you can come in and have a look at this page, and it gives you some information on finding your way around. The next menu is looking at skills. So one of the big parts of the NZSG is making sure people have really good skills when they're doing their family history, because as we all see out in the world, there's nothing worse than terrible trees. So when you're not a member, you can see we do actually have quite a lot of information available for non-members. That's because we're trying to make everybody good, and it's really a good idea to go in and have a browse around the research skills. If you've got a bit of spare time, you might find something in there that will help you. The Getting It Right resources are in varying levels, but they've always been viewed as a good refresher, even if you've been doing genealogy for quite a long time. We have information on best practice, citing your sources, copyright, and the ethics and best practice of AI, which is becoming more and more prevalent in the genealogical world. And I will give a shout out to one of our new life members, Barbara Wiley, who wrote the Citing Your Sources guide. And if you're someone like me who absolutely hates citing sources, this is a really great guide because it just keeps it simple and, to my mind, more manageable. But, there are different ways of doing it. This is only just one. In terms of writing and publishing, we have some information on writing your family history, and I can't remember this, so this is just general information about it. Once you're logged in as a member, you'll find that there's more. And of course, underneath this is the ever-increasing number of courses that we are offering to help people find out more, to develop their skills more with their family history. So there are all sorts of things. So if you have people that are interested in genealogy but don't know, you could push them towards the discovery sessions. Then we have introductory courses. Do go along to the Q&A sessions. They're available to all members, and you might learn something new. We've recently started a refresher course, and then the other courses include things like the software groups that we have running out of the FRC at the moment. Now, if you're a member, the writing and publishing comes out a lot more. There are videos here from the online writing and publishing group, which we're hoping to get back up and running again, but it's sort of slightly in abeyance. And the other page we have is members' blog. So if you run a blog, send it into our webmaster, Jan, so just webmaster@genealogy.org.nz, and she'll add you into the list here. Now you'll notice I clicked on the side bar here. So there is another sort of, once you're within a menu, you can go down the list down the side here to access more information. Go back to the home page. Now, one of our really big and ever increasing parts of the website is the resources. And some of you may be wondering, for things like the Kiwi resources, why do I have to go onto a page here? Why? And then there's more. Why isn't it on the menu? And the simple answer is it's got to fit on the page of your screen. So my screen is one of the ones we use because I'm working on a laptop at the moment. And as you can see from what's being broadcast, I can't get to the end of the page on these ones. And so when we put them on a menu, it disappears down the bottom and I can't reach it. So we do have to put pages in for some things, and that's just really indicative of how much there is in terms of resources in there. So we have a page that's an overview, and if you're a non-member, flicking back here, you will get to see that, and you'll get to see the sort of overview pages of these parts of the world, but you're not necessarily going to get to see the nitty-gritty stuff in between. So the Kiwi resources, this is the national resources. I'm going to do a plug for this here because this is ever increasing and there's a huge amount of information in here about all sorts of things. There's at the top is the general things that you will look for as a standard and when you're researching, but then we get down into all sorts of things, and we've been adding the randomest things in here. One of the more recent ones is political parties, and it is aimed one at giving you some context and information about, say, political parties, when they were formed and when they stopped, or pointing you to resources that will tell you that information, but also it's aimed at helping you find records. Do you have a family member that was a member of a political party that may have stood for Parliament? Where are the records, if they've been kept, of possibly that person? So you never know what you're going to find until you go in there and have a look. But there's a huge array of resources in there, and that's at a national level. So those are national resources, and then the Kiwi Resources regional, which we keep renaming, but currently it's regional. These are ones based on various parts of the country. Now, Auckland is still in the works because it's quite a big area, but we have pretty much covered off the rest of it. We even go out to the Chatham Islands. Now, the majority of historical Chatham Islands records are actually held in Christchurch, which is why they're in the Canterbury area. But you never know what you might find. And I mean, somebody at my branch was telling me how they had looked here and had found a local museum, and they had this amazing picture of one of her ancestors that she'd never seen before. So, going local is something that we mustn't forget about doing when we're doing our research. We also have, of course, for people who have gotten out of New Zealand, some resources for overseas. Many of these were developed in conjunction with our interest groups, and they really are quite an amazing resource, especially the ones in the British Isles, because of course we have quite active interest groups in the British Isles area. So they are all sorts of things. And in here is where you're going to find the Gale newspapers and access to Discovery from the UK archives, because it's overseas and it's a resource. So that's where it lives now, if you've been wondering. Otherwise, you can get at both of those from the quick links on the front page. And then there's various other resources. District keys are a really fantastic resource. If you're looking at the BDM numbers on the fiche, they do not relate to the BDM numbers on the online BDM, but if you are looking at the fiche, those district keys can be helpful in working out locations of events. Presentations, there's been various ones over the years that we've put in here. And of course, we have the Library Cat. So the Library Cat has been busy. Well, the Library Cat spends a lot of time sleeping, actually, but she has her minions, and they basically put together slideshows, which my computer's very slowly bringing up. And you can get in here and you can just click on the slideshows and flick along and have a look at the displays that they have in the library, which gives you an idea of the resources that we are holding in the library. All finally caught up, so I can click over a slide. No, still thinking. But they really are interesting, give you an idea of what books are held in the library as well as other resources. So down here at the bottom is our journal. So if you're a member, you can access that. If you're not a member, I'm just going to flip back over to the page. It tells you about it. Oops. Got to slow down for the mouse. It tells you about it and also gives you information if you want to write for the New Zealand genealogist. But if you actually want to view, you have to be a member. And of course, we have digital copies. We have most of the copies going back. If you scroll down and back and back and back and back and back and back and back. Yeah, it's funny to scroll down to see what the different cover pages look like over the years. We used to have a very plain cover, but we go all the way back. And I'm just going to keep scrolling because we got to the bottom. So we go back to 1977 at the moment. There is a little gap in the middle there. They can be quite fascinating to read. We do have indexes of the genealogist on the Kiwi collection. So, you may find an article back in 1977 that is relevant to your family. Otherwise, you can read entertaining articles about how to use a computer to do your family history, because it's a new thing back in the 1970s. And lastly, I'm going to just click on this one. We have our journals. So we have our branch newsletters. Many branches are happy to share their newsletters as long as it's behind the membership paywall. So that's where they sit. And then we have our overseas journals. And So we do swaps with other family history societies, so you can get access to the journals, and the list is ever increasing. Lots of them in the UK, quite a few in Australia. So it's an opportunity to read what is being published in there, and then if there's something exciting, you can then go back to those journals themselves or those family history societies and either join or find out more information from them. And we also, because we're affiliated with them, we have the Family History Federation, which is out of the UK. They're a really useful bulletin. So they haven't put out the August one yet, but there is all the various previous ones. And then the last thing we have under the journals and newsletters is that we have a quick tip, which is what goes out in the eKit. So it's the last article at the bottom, and there's absolutely a huge array of tips and tricks in there. So we put them in there just in case you want to go and, I don't know, bit of light reading one afternoon, scroll through and see if there's anything you find that's interesting. So that's our resources, and this is the whole kit and caboodle if you are a member and what you can access. The next one is the Get Help menu. And so, of course, if you're not a member, your research service thing will be for non-members, and that's the help you're getting. If you are a member, you have the research service, and so on this page there is information about it, and then there is some forms you can fill in to get help from the volunteers at the FRC. So if you found something in the library catalogue or the Kiwi collection, you can just request a look up, and I'm always doing that, and they are really great and fast and amazing. And research requests, if there's something you want to know more information about, you can put or you need some help, put in a request and they can help you out. The advantage of doing the forms is it sort of prompts you to add information in, so you're not leaving anything out. We also have a land research service, and I was just saying before we started tonight that they are amazing. I've written them up for the New Zealand Genealogist Journal about how they helped me find where my granddad lived as a small child near Waitomo, and they were actually able to help me pinpoint the block of land that we needed. And then if you are wanting, you don't have a credit card and you're wanting to purchase certificates from the GRO or Scotland, then we have a purchasing service that you can use. And last but not least, something we've only recently launched and we need to keep remembering to publicise is the NZSG Digital Archive. So this is a service that's available to members. It gives you 1 gigabyte of storage to put your most precious digitized information into an archive, and all the information is on this particular page about how to access it, the submission form and agreement, and all the information. So Zoe, who is our digital genealogy curator, is always there to help you with any questions you might have about that. So it's a great resource available to members, and the form, of course, will discuss the ins and outs of if you stop being a member. So, of course, that is only available to members. Now, I'm going to move along to the next menu, which is collections. Now, one of probably the big changes we made when we recently revamped the website was to add the FRC and our library into the collections, because it is our physical collection and it's a really great place to put it. It's, one of the places you will find information. So that is why we have moved it there. So if you're not a member, you can see information about it, the FRC and the library, and the fact that we're a Family Search affiliate. You get an overview of the NZSG collections, and of course you can get into the Kiwi collection, because we have part of the Kiwi collection available to non-members, and you have to get there by clicking on the button. And of course that brings us into the Kiwi collection, but I'm not here to talk about the Kiwi collection. But if you're a member, you get to see more records, of course, and if you're a subscriber, you get to see the whole lot. And we're currently up to 17 million records, so that's pretty cool. Now, the index, we have there is a spreadsheet, and I haven't been on this page for a little wee while to see the spreadsheet.
On the next page there,
yeah. Oops, it's gone and downloaded it for me. I won't get onto that, but we recently revamped the spreadsheet, so it has a lot more information about what all the record sets are. So do go and have a look at that, because it is, some of the Kiwi Collection things are small and local, but small and mighty, if that is where you're looking for your family history. Now, if you're a member of the NZSG, once you click on the collections, like me, you just might get to the bottom of the page. And like I said, this is one of the problems we have with our menus, is we've got so much stuff, and making them short enough so that you can actually see them on a screen that's not 10 feet wide. Well, not a desktop screen, so a laptop screen. So these are all our collections, and we have a huge number of them, and we still collect all of them, and they're all increasing, and they are all full of information. So as a general rule, there are indexes to all of them on the Kiwi Collection. They get updated every time we update for what we charmingly call creep records, which are records that have moved out of the privacy embargo. But all of them are also accessible if you're not subscribed to the Kiwi Collection. So go onto the page relevant to them and have a look, and it will tell you how to access the information. It might take a little bit longer than through the Kiwi Collection, but there is way, you can get access to all of it regardless of whether you have the Kiwi Collection. It's just on the Kiwi Collection, there's the index by name, and so that really helps. And of course, our certificates collection, we always like to do a plug for that. I've lost count of how many certificates we have, but I think last number I heard was something like 136,000. So, chances are we have some random certificate that you might not have yet bought, or you just don't want to pay money for, and you can get it for free as a perk of your membership. And we've been told we're faster than BDM. So there's a great team running certificates collection, and they respond to emails really, really quickly. Right, I'm going to move on to the next one, but let's go back to being a non-member. So we have sort of an overview page which talks about DNA very generally. We do have a link to our online DNA interest group, because it is a perk of being a member, and it is one way of pulling members in. And then we have a page on some of the informal groups that are around the place doing DNA. Now, if you're a member, you get all that and more. So there's a thing on results, which is sort of the next steps after you've done a test. There's the DNA Bootcamp. Now, some of that is a little bit dated now, but it's still an interesting resource. However, I will do a big plug for the online DNA interest group. They're actually going to do a presentation during Family History Month to talk more about what they offer and how they work. And if you have DNA, it's very, very worthwhile joining that and watching their presentations. You can either watch them live, or they put them into their Google Classroom, so you can access them whenever you like. And they have a huge array, and they're starting to teach classes on it. So that's an exciting one as well. So they're a great resource for members. Now, the next one is Connect, and I'm just going to quickly drop back to the non-member side of it. So it has, the obvious suspects. This page here is an overview, access to our branches, our interest groups, where to find us on Facebook, some information on our projects, including the shipping project, which is one of the big things we're working on at the moment. If you're a member, you also get access to the forum. You also get access to members' interests. So the forum Hasn't quite taken off as well as we would like, but do feel you can use it if you want. The other option, of course, is Memlist, which is full of people who are very knowledgeable, and that runs off an email Google group. The forum is based on the website. Members' interests. This is something that I have to say I'm a bit slow in using, but it really is quite fascinating. It is a way of connecting with other members that are doing the same family as you. And of course, by making those connections, you can find out information that you might not have known. They may have resources like photos or letters or diaries that you didn't get passed down to your side of the family, but went down to their side of the family. And, it is a great way of making contact with them. So in here, you can search for people that are looking at the same, or in the manage interests, which I'll just flip into, you can go in and put the information that you're looking for. And as you can see, I don't have any in there at the moment, mainly because I don't have any time to answer questions, but it is on my list of things to do to get in there and start making connections with other members. So there's a lot of different ways of connecting. Branch convener, I will always plug the branches if there's one near to you to make sure you join it. There's a lot of great people out there in the branches, and also a great way to get help and find information. The next one we're going to look at, we're going to go over to news and events. So as a non-member, you see the news and the events calendar, because we want to encourage non-members to come into our events. And oh, look, my Kilbirnie branch, that was this morning. Sorry you missed out on that. Family history talk. Well, here we are now. Hamilton also had their meeting tonight. That's probably why nobody's here from Hamilton. And I will do a big plug for the FRC. They are open late tomorrow night, Friday, as it's the first Friday. So open till 10 o'clock if you're in Auckland and you want to get down there. So there's all sorts of things in there. We put all the branch meetings in there. Basically anything that Jan, our webmaster, finds out about, she will put into the events calendar. So if you are running an event, please don't forget to let her know. And then the other thing we have are our events that are coming up. So of course we have Family History Month, and I just got to get rid of a little thing on the side of the screen. Family History Month, the Auckland Family History Expo, which is happening in October as part of Heritage Month, and I will talk a little bit more about that. And also we have the AFO Congress, which is happening in February next year. Now, if we're a member, get on to the right page, you have access to eKit. So if you've missed an eKit, or you thought, oh, I knew there was an article about something somewhere, you can come in here and look at the back issues. If you can't find it in your email, and click on one and it will give you the back issue. If you're part of a branch or interest group, or just curious, you can have a look at the big picture, which is the newsletter that we send out to branches, interest groups, and area contacts. So they're all in there. And again, we have the news, the events calendar, and the events that are coming up. So there's lots of events coming up, it being Family History Month. So do make sure you see what's going on in your local area and have a look. So the last two ones, so we'll do the shop first. Of course, if you're a member, you have access to the member products and subscription products. So the subscription products are where you can subscribe to the Kiwi Collection for a month or for a year. And pretty straightforward there. Members products are some of our things like name badges, NZSG keyring. I don't have one of those either. And if you use our land research service and you need to pay for it, that's where you can do that. Otherwise, the shop just has general things, and if you are a non-member, that will be what you see are the shops. We offer gift vouchers if you want to give a friend a gift of a membership, or just the gift money um, to buy something from the NZSG. And if you would like to make a donation, then there is the option there. We are slowly selling down our CD-ROM collection. They are all on sale at the moment, so go and have a look. Some of them are already on the Kiwi collection, but others are not, so do have a look. This is assuming that you have a CD driver, and it was actually interesting at my branch today. We asked about that, and it was interesting to see the number of people that didn't have one in their computer but had invested in a little one that plugs in because they still had CDs or DVDs that they wanted to access. So that is the shop. Now, of course, if you're not a member, the menu ends there, and if you are a member, you then have my NZSG, which takes you to the dashboard, and I put a pretty picture of me on here. It gives you, once you log in, this is the page you get to. You have a quick link into the forms and charts. This is probably our most used page, which I find quite interesting. You can find branches and area contacts. It'll take you to the library, and it'll take you into the Kiwi collection. Now, my subscription lapsed at the end of July, and I'm waiting till I'm not busy enough to resubscribe, but you can just click there and get in to subscribe to the Kiwi collection. Now, if you're looking for renewals and information, you can get into here, and it has all your subscriptions and things like that. So that is pretty much it in terms of having gone across, and we've been down the front page and we've seen all sorts of things. So I'm going to go back to the home page and throw open for questions if there's anything that anybody would like to ask me, like where is it, or thing like that. So yell out. Keep sharing for a second so you can all see me. Do we have any questions?
Sarah, I put something in the chat.
Oh, hi, Martin. How
Hi,
are we
Sarah.
doing?
Yeah, good. I just wondered if there's any advice about genealogical qualifications and that sort of thing, with external organisations like universities and so on around the world.
Well, because we don't have any in New Zealand, we've probably never thought of putting a page up on that, but that's an interesting idea of something that we could do a page for in the future.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, I think it'd be useful for new members or older members like myself when we're wanting to expand our knowledge to know where we might be able to go.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it could be a pathway for people who might want to be professional genealogists in New Zealand.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Sarah.
Cool. Thanks, Martin.
It should showcase the Family History Month page.
Yes, well, that's what I was thinking. On the events page, we have Family History Month, and so anything that Jan knows about has been told. So there's quite a lot happening in Auckland at the FRC. They're doing talks, so if you've got somebody you know that might need a little light shove towards it, send them along to the FRC. Otherwise, there are events happening all over the place. The page is getting pretty long. Crikey. So, yeah, and it's been amazing to see the variety of things that are out there this year. And then I'm going to do a plug for the mouse menus not working at the same speed. The AFO Congress, and I'm going to flick over to our webpage because we have our own webpage for that. So the AFO Congress is going to be in Wellington in February next year. We are about to open registrations any day now, so keep an eye on your email. You will be bombarded because we're sending it out in all directions. And we have recently announced that we have Johnny Pearl, who is the DNApainter.com inventor, manager, brains behind the operation. He's going to come out and be our keynote speaker. So that's all very exciting. But before that, and I mustn't forget this one, we have, gosh, me and my mouse, they're not working today, the Auckland Family History Expo, which is going to be in October at King's College. And so we're really looking forward to that. It's going to be a bigger venue and lots of exhibitors. You can see here that we are having all sorts of interesting people that are going to come along and be there to help you, along with our interest groups. And so it's going to be a great weekend, and there'll be raffles. And we have, of course, some great people sponsoring us for the expo. So that will be something to look forward to. And of course, there'll be more information coming out about that. Right. Any other questions? Right. Well, I will encourage you to keep an eye on the events calendar, because it will, have.
Sarah, can
names.
I ask, sorry?
Yeah, go for it.
Is there any more, like years ago, you did all the publications on CDs and stuff like that. Is there any more sort of publications coming out to be able to purchase? Do you know, or just coming onto Kiwi Collection?
We've basically moved all the new stuff onto the Kiwi Collection, because it's easier. People don't necessarily have CD drives anymore. It's just instantly available online. I mean, the Kiwi Collection went up to 17 million records with the last update, so it's
fantastic.
Oh yeah, it is, and there's just more and more and more, and so big shout out and thank you to all our volunteers that keep adding records to it, because there's still a lot of people beavering away out there to add more into it.
And it's still very cheap at $50 a year.
It is, yes, for the breadth of records you get. And like I say, do go and have a look at the spreadsheet, because we did expand that out to have more information, so you can understand, because sometimes the record collection names are they're not necessarily as easy to understand as what the actual records are. They have interesting names. I'm going to wrap up now and say thank you all for coming along tonight.
Okay.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Thanks very much, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sarah. Bye. Thanks.